Imagine standing in the frostbitten halls of Richmond Palace at dawn in March 1603, where the air is so cold it bites your skin, and shadows cling to every corner like secrets. A group of courtiers, their breath visible in the dim candlelight, is rifling through the belongings of Queen Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen, the legend who crushed the Spanish Armada and ruled England for 45 years. But what they uncover isn't a royal treasure or a crown. It's a letter, hidden deep in her private chest. And let me tell you, this thing is a thunderbolt, scrawled in Elizabeth's trembling, desperate hand. It drops a truth so shocking it was buried for centuries. Her death wasn't the gentle exit of a revered monarch. No way. It claims England's greatest queen was slowly poisoned, and the poison might have come from her own mirror. This isn't just history. It's a mystery wilder than any crime show you've binged. That letter, which her successor James I hid faster than a guilty secret, rips open a truth that'll give you goosebumps. It says Elizabeth's iconic beauty, that radiant, porcelain glow that had kings begging for her hand, was built on a deadly lie. For decades, she'd been brushing on makeup laced with lead, mercury, and who knows what else, like painting her face with death itself. And here's the twist that'll make your jaw drop. That letter hints someone in her court might have known the makeup was toxic and still urged her to keep using it. Was this a tragic mistake, or the most sinister assassination ever pulled off? You be the judge. Let's set the scene. Elizabeth, I wasn't just a queen, she was a force of nature. She turned England into a global powerhouse, outsmarted every rival, and gave her name to an entire era. But behind the ruffled gowns and fiery wigs, she was a woman trapped in a brutal game in her time. Beauty wasn't just vanity, it was power. A queen's flawless face was proof she was chosen by God, a tool to charm allies and keep enemies guessing. Elizabeth played that game like a master until it started playing her. This letter, found in the eerie glow of her final days, is our window into a story of betrayal, obsession, and a woman who paid the ultimate price for perfection. Why does this matter? Whether you're in London or New York, because Elizabeth's struggle hits home. We all feel the pressure to look a certain way, to wear a mask for the world. Hers was made of lead. Ours might be filters or facades, but the stakes are real. Over the next half hour, we'll unravel how a queen who survived wars and plots was undone by the one enemy she couldn't outrun, her own image. What do you think happened? Was she a victim of her era, or was someone pulling the strings? Drop your theories in the comments, and let's dive into this 400-year-old mystery together. Walk into the dark heart of 1530s England, where the royal court is a battlefield, and a little girl named Elizabeth is caught in its crosshairs. It's 1536, and Elizabeth, barely 2, is the daughter of King Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn. But this isn't a fairy tale, it's a horror show. Her father, a king drunk on power, has turned on her mother, Anne. Once Henry's obsession, is now labeled a traitor, an adulteress, a witch. On a crisp May morning, she's marched to the Tower of London. A French swordsman raises his blade, and with one swift cut, Anne's head falls, her blood soaking the scaffold as the crowd cheers. Elizabeth, too young to grasp the full weight, loses her mom in a brutal spectacle. Then comes the gut punch. Henry voids Anne's marriage, branding Elizabeth a bastard, stripping her of her title. Imagine being a toddler, your world collapsing, knowing your own dad orchestrated the carnage. This isn't just a loss, it's the spark that ignites Elizabeth's survival instincts. The Tudor court is a snake pit, where loyalty is a myth, and power is everything. Henry isn't just a king, he's a storm, ripping England from the Catholic Church to chase a male heir. Elizabeth, a girl in a world that prizes sons, is a living reminder of his failure. She grows up under his volatile gaze, watching him churn through wives like pawns. Jane Seymour, her third stepmother, dies giving birth to Edward, the son Henry craved. Anne of Cleves is tossed aside for not being pretty enough. Then there's Catherine Howard, barely older than Elizabeth, dragged screaming to the same scaffold as Anne for alleged adultery. Elizabeth, still a child, absorbs every blow, the executions, the betrayals, the way love turns to death in an instant. Each tragedy carves a lesson into Elizabeth's heart. Trust is a trap. She sees how quickly her father's affection sours, how even queens can end up headless. The court is a chessboard, and she's a pawn who could be sacrificed any moment. Imagine the fear, knowing your birth sparked your mom's death, that your dad sees you as a flaw. That trauma doesn't just scar her, it sharpens her. By age 8, Elizabeth is already learning to tread carefully, watching every glance, weighing every word. She's a child, but she's playing a grown-up game where losing means the tower. Her childhood isn't about play, it's about survival, about dodging the blades of a court that thrives on blood. But this is only the beginning. Elizabeth isn't just surviving, she's about to turn her fear into a weapon. How do you think a kid handles that kind of pressure? Drop your thoughts below, and let's see how she rises from this chaos. Now picture Elizabeth, no longer just a scared kid, but a young girl forging herself in the crucible of the Tudor court. She's 8, 10, 12, navigating a world where one wrong step could mean a noose. The executions of her mother and stepmother echo in her mind, each a reminder that even queens aren't safe. But Elizabeth isn't crumbling, she's adapting, turning fear into a razor-sharp edge. The court is a deadly game, and she's learning to play it like a grandmaster, moving pieces while everyone else is still reading the rules. Her childhood, soaked in blood, isn't breaking her. It's building a queen who will outsmart the world. Elizabeth knows brains are her best defense. She dives into studies like they're her lifeline, mastering Latin, Greek, French, and Italian by her teens. She's like a Renaissance rock star, tossing around classical quotes while most nobles are still stumbling over their Latin. But her real talent, reading people. A smirk, a hesitation, a too quick nod, she catches it all, decoding the court's web of lies like a spy. This isn't just smarts, it's survival. The court's a maze of plots, and missing a cue could land her in the tower. Imagine being a kid, knowing every conversation is a minefield. That's Elizabeth, always watching, always calculating. Her genius lies in crafting masks, not makeup, not yet, but personas. To Protestants, she's a beacon of faith. To Catholics, she's just pious enough to dodge their knives. She kneels for prayers, but keeps her true beliefs buried deep. It's like she's juggling a dozen identities, each one tailored to whoever's in the room. This isn't deceit, it's armor, as a girl in a man's world, where being female is a weakness. She's already rewriting the rules. She learns to say everything and reveal nothing, to charm without committing, to survive by being untouchable. By 1547, when Henry VIII dies, Elizabeth is just 13, but she's no ordinary teenager. She's a strategist, forged in betrayal. She's learned power isn't about swords or crowns. It's about control. Control your image, your words, your heart, and you own the board. Those early years teach her to trust no one, to always have a backup plan, to keep enemies guessing, but the cost is steep. She loses the chance to feel safe, to love without fear. Every relationship is a risk, every smile a tactic. This is the root of her later obsessions, her paranoia, her refusal to marry, her need to control her appearance. Elizabeth's childhood didn't just shape her, it armed her for a throne she'd fight to keep. Next, we'll see how a brush with death pushes her into a deadly obsession with beauty. What made her stronger? Her wit or her wounds? Hit the comments, and let's keep this story rolling. Step into the gilded chaos of Hampton Court Palace in October 1562, where a storm is brewing that will shatter Elizabeth III's world. At 29, Elizabeth is England's dazzling queen, a master of wit and charm who's got Europe eating out of her hand. Her beauty is the stuff of legends, skin white as snow, eyes that pierce like arrows, ambassadors swoon, calling her a goddess, and her glow is a weapon, sealing alliances and silencing doubters. But then, disaster crashes in like a thief in the night. Elizabeth catches smallpox, a monstrous disease that's been carving a path of death across the continent. For days, she's locked in her chambers, her body burning with fever, teetering on the edge of death. Her advisors huddle in the corridors, whispering about succession, their panic as thick as the palace's stone walls. It's a heart-stopping moment. Will England lose its queen? By some miracle, Elizabeth claws her way back to life. But when she finally staggers to a mirror, the sight hits her like a dagger. Smallpox hasn't just scarred her body, it's ravaged her face. Deep, jagged pockmarks litter her cheeks and forehead, like a vandal's mark on a masterpiece. For any woman, this would be devastating. But for a queen in the 16th century, it's a political earthquake. Beauty wasn't just vanity back then. It was power, a divine stamp that proved God chose you to rule. Elizabeth's flawless face was her shield, convincing courts and kings she was untouchable. Now, those scars threaten everything. They're not just blemishes, they're cracks in her authority, a signal to enemies that she's weak. Imagine standing in her shoes. You're the rock star of Europe, and overnight, your face could topple your throne. The blow cuts deep. Elizabeth has spent her life dodging plots, outsmarting her father's legacy, proving a woman can rule. But this feels like a betrayal by her own body. Her beauty was her armor, a way to shout, "I'm unstoppable." Without it, she feels naked, exposed to a world waiting for her to falter. Courtiers catch her lingering by mirrors, staring at her reflection, as if she could erase the damage through sheer will. It's heartbreaking. This fierce, brilliant woman, reduced to doubting herself over scars she can't control. But Elizabeth doesn't crumble. She's a fighter, always has been. And she's about to make a choice that will save her image, but set her on a path to ruin. This is where the tragedy begins to take shape. To hide those scars, Elizabeth reaches for Venetian ceruse, a creamy, white paste that promises to smooth away every flaw. It's like a magic trick, but the price is steep. It's made of lead, a poison we now know is deadly. She starts brushing it on, desperate to reclaim her radiant facade, and it works, for now. But every stroke is a step into a trap she won't see until it's too late. Her face may look perfect, but the cost is brewing beneath her skin. How do you think you'd handle losing your greatest asset? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's see where this choice leads her next. Now imagine Elizabeth E., her face scarred by smallpox, staring into a mirror that feels like an enemy. It's still 1562, and she's fighting to reclaim the beauty that once defined her power. her snow-white glow, praised as divine, was her secret weapon. It kept allies enchanted and enemies at bay. Those pockmarks aren't just scars. They're a threat to her throne, a sign she might not be the untouchable Virgin Queen. So, Elizabeth makes a fateful choice. She turns to Venetian ceruse, a thick, creamy paste that promises to erase her flaws. It's like waving a wand over her face. But this wand is dipped in poison, and it's about to lock her into a 40-year dance with death. Picture her chambers, mirrors gleaming, her ladies-in-waiting brushing on ceruse with the care of artists. This stuff, made from white lead and vinegar, is the Renaissance equivalent of a perfect Instagram filter. When it's applied, the transformation is stunning. Her scars vanish, her face smooth and pale, glowing like polished marble. Suddenly, she's the radiant queen again. Ambassadors fall over themselves, praising her heavenly beauty, and marriage proposals flood in. It's a triumph, a way to reclaim her power. But here's the chilling catch that ceruse is pure poison. Lead seeps through her skin, starting a slow, invisible assault on her body. Elizabeth doesn't know it yet, but every brushstroke is a step toward a tragedy she can't escape. Why does she embrace this so fiercely in her world? Beauty isn't just about looking good, it's survival. A queen's flawless face was seen as God's endorsement, proof she was meant to rule. Scars could spark doubts in her court, make Europe question England's strength. Elizabeth's fought too hard to let her throne wobble now. Every glance at those pockmarks reminds her how fragile her power is, how one crack could bring it all down. So, her morning makeup becomes a sacred ritual. Hours of ceruse, mercury-tinged rouge, kohl around her eyes, building a mask that's as much armor as it is art. It's like she's painting over her fears, her doubts, her humanity. The tragedy is how this locks her in. Elizabeth can't face her court or herself without that mask. Some physicians warn her about the dangers, whispering of noblewomen sickened by cosmetics, but she pushes back. Stopping feels like surrender, like admitting she's mortal. That ceruse becomes her shield, her prison, her identity. She's not just hiding scars, she's hiding the fear that she's not enough, and it works too well. Her perfect porcelain face becomes the Virgin Queen's trademark, but it's a lie built on poison. This choice, born from desperation, sets her on a path where beauty will become her executioner. Next, we'll see how this mask tightens its grip, turning her court into a stage of deception. Would you risk everything for a perfect image? Hit the comments, and let's keep this story going. Plunge into the candlelit chambers of Elizabeth I's court in the 1570s, where a deadly ritual unfolds each dawn. The Virgin Queen, now in her 40s, sits before a mirror, her ladies-in-waiting brushing on Venetian ceruse, that lead-packed paste she's relied on since her smallpox scars appeared a decade ago. It's no mere makeup, it's a spell, transforming her scarred face into a flawless porcelain canvas that glows like moonlight. Ambassadors swoon, calling her beauty divine, and her court buys the illusion of an ageless queen. But beneath this radiant mask lies a curse, one that's sinking its claws into her body and soul. That ceruse, mixed with mercury-laced rouge and kohl eyeliner, isn't just hiding flaws, it's poisoning her, brush by brush, in a slow, merciless march toward ruin. This isn't just a beauty routine, it's a pact with death. Lead, as we know now, is a silent assassin. It seeps through her skin, into her blood, and nests in her organs, fraying her nerves and clouding her mind. Elizabeth's hands begin to tremble. Her temper flares without warning. One moment she's the charming queen. The next, she's snapping at courtiers over nothing. Whispers ripple through the palace. She's not herself, but they don't see the truth. She's dosing herself with poison daily, all to maintain the image of the untouchable virgin queen. Imagine painting your face with something you know could kill you, but feeling you have no choice. That's Elizabeth's reality, trapped in a lie she can't unravel. Why can't she stop in her world? Beauty is power, a divine seal that proves she's God's chosen ruler. Those scars, hidden under layers of ceruse, are a secret she can't afford to reveal. A flawed face could spark doubts in her court, embolden her enemies, and shake her throne. The ceruse becomes her armor, but it's a cruel one. It damages her skin further, turning it red and raw, forcing her to apply even thicker layers to cover the wreckage. It's a vicious trap. The more she uses, the worse it gets, like a noose tightening with every stroke. And the cost is staggering. She's pouring millions in today's money into importing this toxic paste from Venice, as if England's treasury is her personal makeup fund. Elizabeth's not blind to the danger. Some doctors warn her, citing noblewomen who've died from cosmetic poisoning, but she brushes them off. That mask is her crown, her proof she's more than mortal. To abandon it feels like surrendering her power, her identity, everything she's fought for. She's a queen who's outsmarted empires, but now she's at war with her own reflection and losing. This curse, born from a desperate need to be perfect, is rewriting her fate. But the palace is about to become an even darker stage, where truth is buried under layers of deception. How far would you go to keep up appearances? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's see where this poison leads her next. Now step into the twisted theater of Elizabeth I's court in the 1580s, where her poisonous mask has turned truth into a casualty. That Venetian ceruse, layered so thick it's more plaster than makeup, still casts its spell, making her face glow like a marble statue in the candlelight. To her court, she's the Virgin Queen, eternal and divine. But beneath the surface, her skin is a ruin, red, lesioned, barely human. Showing her true face is unthinkable. It'd be like tossing her crown into the Thames. So, Elizabeth doubles down, caking on more poison to preserve the illusion, even as it eats away at her body and mind, turning her palace into a stage where everyone's playing a part. The lead's damage is no longer subtle. By her 50s, Elizabeth's mind, once sharp enough to outwit Europe's best, is fraying. She forgets courtiers' names, stumbles in meetings, and sometimes stares into mirrors, muttering to her reflection as if it's her long-dead mother, Anne Boleyn. It's eerie, like she's half lost in a fog only she can see. Her temper swings wildly. One minute she's gracious, the next she's lashing out, her hands shaking from the poison's toll. Courtiers know something's wrong, but they're too terrified to speak. Instead, they build a house of lies, installing curved, tinted mirrors that flatter her at a fortune's cost. It's like the palace is a warped social media feed, curated to hide her decline. Elizabeth isn't clueless. She feels the poison's grip. The ceruse burns her skin. Her headaches throb from the weight of the layers, and bizarre remedies like raw meat or mercury compounds only worsen the damage. Her advisors, like William Cecil, beg her to cut back, pointing to noblewomen dead from cosmetics. But she snaps. I can't face my people without my face. That mask is her legitimacy, her power, her very self, without it. She fears she's nothing, just a scarred woman on a shaky throne. So, the court becomes a masquerade, with dim lighting and strict rules to shield her condition. They call it etiquette, but it's a desperate cover-up to keep the Virgin Queen's myth alive. This is Elizabeth's tragedy at its peak. The queen who once controlled every move is now a prisoner of her own image. Her daily makeup ritual, once a shield, is now torture, each stroke a reminder of her unraveling. The court, once a hub of brilliance, is a maze of whispers, everyone dodging a queen who's slipping away. She tries to fight back, but the lead's in her bones, her brain, her soul. The woman who outsmarted a kingdom can't outsmart her own reflection. And yet, a chilling question looms. Was this all her doing? Or was someone steering her toward this fate next? We'll uncover a secret letter that changes everything. Was Elizabeth's downfall her choice? Or a plot? Drop your guesses in the comments, and let's unravel this further. Venture into the ghostly quiet of Richmond Palace in early 1603, where the once vibrant Elizabeth Thurn is fading like a candle, burned to its wick. The Virgin Queen, now in her late 60s, is a shadow of the Titan who outwitted empires. Her body is frail, her mind clouded by decades of lead-soaked Venetian ceruse, the toxic makeup that's been her mask since the smallpox scars of 1562. Her hands tremble, her memory falters, and her court moves around her like she's a fragile relic, their whispers heavy with fear. But in this twilight, Elizabeth does something that turns this tragedy into a mystery for the ages. She begins writing a secret letter, a document so shattering that when it's found after her death, her successor, James I, hides it like a guilty secret. This letter isn't a farewell. It's a confession, a scream, and a haunting question. Was Elizabeth's downfall her own doing? Or was she a pawn in a sinister game? Imagine the scene. It's the dead of night. The palace cloaked in silence, save for the faint crackle of a fire. Elizabeth, her strength ebbing, hunches over a desk, her trusted lady-in-waiting, Catherine Carey, watching with bated breath. Her hands, once graceful, shake as they grip a quill, each stroke a battle against her failing body. The words she writes are raw, like a wound laid bare. She calls her daily makeup ritual a beautiful self-murder, admitting she's known for years that the ceruse was poison. She speaks of being devoured by vanity, her face a garden of poison that grew deadlier with each layer. It's as if she's peeling back the mask, revealing the woman beneath, not a queen, but a human, broken by choices she felt forced to make. Yet the letter takes a chilling turn. She writes of those who would see me painted into my grave, hinting that some in her court pushed her deeper into this toxic routine, knowing it would destroy her. Could it be true? Was someone orchestrating her demise? This revelation is a bombshell. The Tudor court was a snake pit of ambition, where power was worth any price. A slow, subtle assassination. No knives, no poison cups, just a nudge toward more ceruse would be diabolically clever. Elizabeth's letter doesn't name culprits, but it sows doubt. Were there courtiers who saw her obsession and thought, let's fan the flames? Her paranoia, honed in childhood, makes the idea plausible. She'd always known her court hid vipers, and now she wonders if they used her fear of imperfection to weaken her. It's like a plot ripped from a thriller, where the weapon is her own mirror, and the crime unfolds over decades. But is it conspiracy, or the final cry of a queen consumed by her own choices? The tragedy deepens with Elizabeth's isolation. Once the heart of a dazzling court, she's now a recluse, shunning bright lights to hide her crumbling facade. Her letter reveals a soul adrift, haunted by blackouts where hours vanish, decisions she can't recall, and fears that others ruled in her name. She calls herself a specter haunting my throne, a queen trapped in a body and image she no longer controls. Imagine the loneliness, knowing you're dying, suspecting betrayal, but too far gone to fight. Her words are a mirror to her pain, a plea for the truth to survive her. When Elizabeth dies in March 1603, the cover-up is swift. James I, eager to inherit her glory, buries the letter in the royal archives, its contents sealed like a tomb. Admitting England's greatest queen poisoned herself, possibly manipulated, would crack the myth of Gloriana, the virgin queen who defined an era. The official story paints her death as serene, a natural end to a glorious reign. But the letter's whispers linger, hinting at a truth too explosive to face. Was it vanity or a plot? The answer's lost in time, but the question burns. This letter redefines Elizabeth's story. It's not just about beauty. It's about a woman crushed by a world that demanded perfection. Next, we'll explore what her tragedy means for us today. Was she a victim of her court, or her own fears? Drop your theories in the comments, and let's unravel this final twist. Drift into the somber hush of Richmond Palace in March 1603, where the final curtain falls on Elizabeth III's extraordinary life. The Virgin Queen, who once lit up Europe with her brilliance, lies dying, her body and mind broken by decades of toxic Venetian ceruse. That secret letter, hidden away by James I, laid bare a chilling truth. Elizabeth wasn't felled by enemies or age, but by a poisonous mask she felt compelled to wear. Her death isn't just the end of a reign. It's a mirror held up to a world that demanded perfection at a deadly cost. This isn't just history. It's a story that resonates whether you're in London or Los Angeles. A warning about the price we pay to meet impossible standards. Elizabeth's tragedy is more than a queen's fall. It's a human story of being crushed by expectations. In the 16th century, beauty was a queen's currency, a divine seal proving her right to rule. Elizabeth's flawless facade, crafted with lead-soaked makeup, held her court in awe and kept rivals at bay. But that pressure, to be ageless, divine, untouchable, turned her greatest asset into her undoing. She hid her smallpox scars behind a mask that poisoned her, because showing weakness felt like losing her throne. Sound familiar? We may not wear ceruse, but we know the grind, the urge to polish our lives for social media, to hide our flaws behind filters or facades. Elizabeth's story whispers a truth. Chasing perfection can cost us more than we realize. Sometimes, even our health. Her tale also exposes the brutal intersection of power and gender. As a woman ruling a man's world, Elizabeth faced a double bind: be beautiful to be desirable, but strong to be respected. Her letter, hinting at courtiers who may have nudged her toward poison, reveals how systems and people exploit vulnerabilities. It's a stark reminder that women, then and now, often navigate harsher rules to prove their worth. Elizabeth paid with her life, her body mummified by the very cosmetics meant to empower her. Today, we see echoes in the pressure to conform, whether it's beauty standards or career demands. Her tragedy asks us to question what masks are we wearing and who profits from keeping them on. Elizabeth's legacy is a paradox. She's Gloriana, the queen who forged England's golden age. But her real story, a woman undone by her own image, is more compelling. That letter, buried to protect her myth, shows a queen who was fiercely human, flawed, and trapped. Her life teaches us that strength isn't in perfection, but in embracing our scars. Elizabeth's fear of her flaws drove her to ruin. Maybe our courage to own ours can set us free. She didn't just shape an era, she showed us the cost of living for others' eyes. As we close this journey, let's reflect. Elizabeth survived plots, wars, and a blood-soaked childhood, only to be defeated by a mirror. Her story isn't just a cautionary tale, it's a call to rethink what we chase. What hit you most? Her loneliness, the possible conspiracy, or the weight of her crown? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'm dying to hear them. If you loved this dive into history's darkest dramas, hit subscribe and tap the bell for more. Want another Queen's Tale or more Tudor secrets? Tell me below. And share this video with your history-obsessed friends. Thanks for joining me. Let's keep peeling back the past together.